Hey, welcome to this bonus episode of Useful Idiots. I'm Aaron Matte.
And I'm Katie Halper.
And for this bonus episode, we're doing something different. This is not a political interview. It's an interview with the comedian Adrienne Iapalucci, who has a new special out on Netflix called The Dark Queen. And as the title suggests, Adrienne's comedy is very dark and very subversive.
Yep. And she does talk about the Clintons, and she does talk about getting thrown off stage for making fun of sex offenders. So there is politics in there.
A little politics, but mostly comedy. And we're happy to bring you something new over this Thanksgiving weekend. So here is our interview with Adrienne Iapalucci, whose new special on Netflix out now is called The Dark Queen.
In addition to having this great special on Netflix, The Dark Queen, her credits include performing at Madison Square Garden, no big deal, with Louis C.K., which, as you'll see in this interview, she did not want to do. And Louis C.K. also directed the special, The Dark Queen. So enjoy.
Adrienne Iapalucci, The Dark Queen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to us about this new special. It's aptly called The Dark Queen because you, and I say this as a compliment, you have the darkest sense of humor of any comedian that I know, and that's why you're one of my favorites. So talk to us about your new special, The Dark Queen.
Ari has been calling me the Dark Queen for years, and since he produced it, I let him.
And that's Ari Shaffir.
Ari Shaffir, yeah. He produced it, and Louis C.K. directed it. I don't know. He's been calling me that for years. The thing is this, if I talk to my friends here that, in the Bronx, that's where I've lived my whole life, my friends watch it. They're like, I don't think it's that dark. For people in New York City, I think this is just kind of your sense of humor. My friend watched, she's like, it's not that dark to me. So I don't know if that's just, how we grew up, or I don't know. That's just kind of, the vibe of how I guess I grew up. I don't know. It doesn't seem even that dark to me because it's just kind of how my mind works.
Maybe they're used to you being dark.
No, they also have a dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
People, I think if you grow up in New York City, you do grow up a bit different.
My mom's from the Bronx. I'm from the Upper West Side, so.
Yeah. Does your mom have a dark sense of humor?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah.
You feel that you don't have as dark a sense of humor as her?
No, I think I do. I think actually mine may be even darker than hers.
Oh, okay.
So there goes the thesis about the Bronx, but maybe it's a combination of a Bronx. I have a Bronxian mother and a Queensian father, so maybe that combination is especially dark.
Well, yeah, you were raised by two people.
Right. Exactly.
So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
What happens when you go outside of New York, though?
Oh, yeah.
When because you make fun of basically everybody.
What's funny is just putting the special out, the feedback that I'm getting. So my friend was like, I watched this with my woke niece and she loved it.
Oh, really? Wow. Were you upset? Was that demoralizing to hear?
No, why would that be upsetting? I want everyone to like it. And whoever doesn't, that's, up to them. But I do want everyone to like it. But some lady wrote to me, she's like, she's very religious. She's from the South. She's like, I have a dark sense of humor and I loved it. So I just think sometimes people maybe put perception on people that they won't like something because of a certain thing. And it's if you have a good sense of humor, you can think a certain thing. And there's certain comics I don't agree with necessarily their politics, but I still enjoy their comedy because I'm open-minded enough to realize jokes are jokes,
Right.
Road, and some people will be upset by stuff. And I've had people walk out and that's the greatest compliment to me. If you walk out during my show and I can upset you that much where you paid for a babysitter to come out and now you're upset by the show. It's a compliment to me that you couldn't sit through it.
Well, so what kind of jokes have prompted people to walk out, or what kind of material?
Everything: school shooting jokes, Ukraine, the Middle East. All the big bangers. People get upset and they'll walk out, and that's their right to walk out. I'm not upset by that.
And when you did this special, I know that you recorded it a few times, as is what happens when these specials. So, how did the tapings go?
We taped 4 shows. The first one was good. The second one we didn't tell anyone it was a special taping. We didn't tell them it was for me. We did no promotion. And that show was the roughest because it's a mixed bag. So sometimes you'll get people that are all going to love it. And sometimes you get people that aren't. So if they're not there for you, you're just taking the chance. Right. So that show was brutal. It was not good. And then the next 2 shows were amazing. The third show that we did early Monday night was the best. And we were like, man, that was like it. And then the next show was so good where you're like, it almost seems fake. So like it's 4 different shows, 4 different, reactions and stuff. And that's just kind of how comedy is, especially for someone that doesn't have a big name, where they're not coming out for you necessarily.
Well, many people came to know you because you opened up for Louis C.K. when he played Madison Square Garden. And, your set became legendary. You had the whole arena on your side. Talk to us about, and I heard that you didn't even want to do that show.
I
So
did
what
not.
happened there?
I was supposed to do, I was booked somewhere I think I was booked at the Creek in the Cave that weekend, and Louis called me up. So I was supposed to do that. And then he asked me to do it. And I was like, ugh, I don't really want to do this. Because his other opener had something else come up, Keith Robinson, who's also really funny. So he asked me to do it. I really didn't want to do it, but I was like, I knew I had to. And I've been opening for Louis for years. So, I mean, I know his audience, and they're just great. I don't know what their demographic even is. They're just like a mix of everything, and they're just like great audience members who love stand-up. So, yeah, I remember that day being at Madison Square Garden because you have to get there really early. And just being so mad at him and just being like, fuck you, I don't want to do this. And he's like, it's going to be great. And then, I just like kind of went out there and did what I do, and they responded to it. And I think it is a lot of those people are from New York. And I have like, I don't know, I'm very New York, I think, and not trying to be. It's just like who I am, living here my whole life.
Why didn't you want to do it?
I mean, it's 18,000 people. So it's like, there's no way to prepare for doing a theater, an arena for 18,000 people. You do stand up, right?
I used to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and also I'm like on stage, I don't really move around a lot, and it was in the round. So I was like worried about having to like move around a lot and be kind of high energy on stage. And that was like when I asked him, I was like, so what should I do when I'm there? And he just kind of like told me just like do a joke and then rotate and do a joke. And like I did that, and that was like so helpful for me.
You once met the Clintons at a restaurant. We have the picture, which we can put up on screen.
Oh yeah,
but talk to us about that.
Met them right before the pandemic started in a restaurant. It's weird because like the restaurant wasn't that busy either. So it was like me, a couple, and I was with somebody, and then there was a couple other people, and they were just sitting to like the left of me, and I was like, that's bizarre. Is that the Clintons? And I think they don't live too far from where we were at. And there was like, I guess Secret Service or whatever, or security, and they weren't even sitting that close to them. So I was like, hey, can we go say hi? And they were like, yeah. And we went up to them, and they were pretty nice and gracious. They took pictures with us.
But then you and Bill took a follow-up selfie, and
she got like mad that he was taking another picture. And it was interesting because he was so nice and like, I guess not chivalrous, but he was just like so nice and like talked to me and the other person that wanted a picture, and she just kind of was like stern and wanted no part of it.
And then you made a t-shirt out of it.
I did make a t-shirt, yeah.
I met the Clintons and live to talk about it. Is this for sale?
It is for sale on my website, adrienneiapallucci.com.
I have heard that Bill Clinton has an ability to make you feel like you're the only person in the room. Like he's supposed to be very magnetic. And I have a friend who's a gold star lesbian, so like never dabbles with men at all. And she said when she met him, she was like totally attracted to him.
Yeah, I mean, he's very charismatic, and he's so nice to you, and you're like, yeah, honestly, I was like, he's still kind of attractive. Like, he does have that magnetic attraction to you. Like, yeah, I thought he was pretty hot still for an older man. I think if I had enough time, I could have hooked up with him.
Nice. What would Hillary have done?
I don't know, probably read a book. I assume that's what she does when he's having sex.
All right, well, let's see if we can offend some people. Let's play some clips, Adrienne, from your
This
special.
is the most brutal part for me. I hate watching my stand-up.
I'm sorry.
I'm just going
to close your eyes and listen to something else, yeah.
They're short clips. This is a joke about Ukraine.
Are you guys still supporting Ukraine? Yeah. It sounds nice to say we're still supporting them, right? Kind of like how we feed homeless people once a year on Thanksgiving. Then a couple of days later, they're like, hey, we're still hungry. We're like, we just fucking fed you. Sometimes I think about the Ukrainian women that got sex trafficked to America like 5 or 6 years ago. You know, they're like, well, who's free now? No. I supported Ukraine for about a week. Well, then I stopped and thought about it. I was like, you know what? Every week in this country, there's a school shooting, and not one person in Ukraine has changed their profile picture to our flag. It's like the least you could do. One lady was like, they're in the middle of a war. I'm like, they're all still scrolling.
I hate watching myself.
Let's go to one more clip. Just one more. This is here you talk about the Republican interest in restricting access to abortion.
Oh.
No, Republicans are also full of shit. Yeah, you guys hate poor people, but you need them to fight your wars. And, fill your prisons. Yeah, that's why they overturned Roe versus Wade. It has nothing to do with kids. Every abortion is a future soldier. Yeah, nobody with a trust fund joins the military.
I try to pick the clips that would appeal to our audience the most and offend them the least, but I guarantee you there will be stuff in here that will offend everybody, or most people, because you are really equal opportunity, Adrienne. And what's interesting is it seems to me you have some political views that does seem discernible, but you don't really. It's not overt at all in your humor, and really what you're just trying to do is make fun, I think, of everything and show that everybody can be made fun of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine getting upset by a joke, but I also grew up different, I think, where, I don't know, stuff doesn't really affect me like that.
All right, well, listen, so this brings us to the Tony Hinchcliffe joke, right? So, that offended a lot of people. I didn't understand what was funny about it. I just saw it as kind of offensive to Puerto Ricans. But you, as I understand it, I mean, you were actually defending him and just saying it was just a joke. So, what did you think that the outrage about that was overblown?
I know Ari had posted something and that's what I shared. I do think it listen, if you hire a comic for something and then you get that comic doing what they do, it's on you. I'll get hired for charity shows all the time and I'm like, this probably isn't a good idea. And then I'll go there and then they're upset. And I'm like, well, this is your fault. I told, what I do. I asked you if you think this is a good idea. I got taken off stage at a show in Row 8 in Connecticut.
For what?
A pedophile joke, because the guy from CNN, the pedophile from CNN, his wife was in the audience. So I was punished for a joke. Meanwhile, this lady's husband's a pedophile in the community.
Wait, which pedophile is this?
I don't know his name. The guy that worked for CNN. They were upset. And I split the crowd that night too, because half the people are like, why should you not be able to do that for a guy who's a pedophile? Also, why would I know that there's a pedophile that's famous in the community and not to do that joke? If you hire a comic and you know what they do, you can't be upset when they do what they did. I don't know what they thought they were going to get. He is a roast comic, and if you look at any of his material, you know what he's going to be doing. And also, if the audience loved it and he did great, nobody would have written anything. So it's just it depends what the audience does. I did one time a charity event for a domestic violence shelter, and it was for all the rich people that donate for it, and they were outraged by my jokes. But if they let me do the show for actual victims of domestic violence, they would have loved it. So it's just it depends who the audience is, and know who you're hiring for shows. Don't expect us to change who we are because you want us to do something that, I don't know, should comics be doing that? It's I guess it's up to you, if you want to, but I don't know, you can't be upset for people for doing what they do. He is a famous roast comic. And
the assumption was that was going to cost Trump the election, which would have been so funny if a joke.
Right. But then they said more Hispanic people came out and voted.
Right.
So you never even know how that's going to affect it. When I did Rogan, he was like, yeah, if he lost, we were going to hide Tony. He said that as a joke. And it's yeah, but he didn't. He won. And more, I think Hispanic people, they said, came out and voted, which is crazy too.
Yeah. By the way, was the CNN guy a former producer, John Griffin?
Who was the CNN pedophile?
Yeah.
That's the mystery.
Well, in my special, I have you give a special thanks. I have a thanks for nothing section, and I put the people in Row 8 on it.
Nice. Yeah, he's from Connecticut.
So yeah, the joke is about rich people. I want to be rich, but not that rich. I want to stop before, I have sex. But before you have sex with kids.
That level.
Yeah. And I think the joke was about rich people on boats being pedophiles. And the picture of this guy was on a boat. When I Googled him.
Wow.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. That is weird that they would ask you to perform, given that.
I mean, the girl before me did a pedophile joke and it was fine. So that's why, this is actually fine. And I was killing. And then I did that joke and I lost a bunch of the audience. And I was like,
I wonder what the difference was between your pedophile jokes.
I think mine was specific where I said rich people on boats.
Oh, that's why.
It was like, I
right.
was trafficking kids to his boat. Like it was it really hit home.
Did you know that? Like, is that why you?
No.
It's just a coincidence.
I don't do research before I go to a show.
And that's what happens if you do a show for a bunch of rich people. There may be a pedophile who does stuff on boats. Yeah.
But it was weird because I didn't know what happened when I got taken off stage. And some lady came up to me and was like, oh, there's actually a pretty famous pedophile in the community that was like, assaulting kids. And I was like, oh, well.
And he was offended.
I was like, I did not know that. Well, I'm pretty sure he's in jail. His wife was there, though.
Oh, right. Yeah. He is in jail. I didn't. So you did it while he was in jail. Okay, I get it. But his wife.
Yeah, I assumed he was in jail. He wasn't at the show.
Yeah.
But his wife was at the show.
So how did they take you off the stage?
Somebody just came to the front and was like, all right, you have to get off stage. I was like, okay. And that's not even my first getting taken off stage at a charity show. So I wasn't even like upset by it. I still got paid. But the audience was
so funny.
Half of them were really upset because there was an intermission. My friend went up after me and then like he talked about it and then like half the crowd stood and gave me like an applause break because they thought I shouldn't have been taken off stage. So it was like it was like older people and then younger people, and the younger people were like against the older people for doing that.
And what was this a charity for? I mean, you don't tell the name, but what was
I don't remember what the charity was for specifically, but it was like raising money for poor kids.
Oh my God, that is so rich. Oh, I didn't mean that in that way. That's so ironic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no idea that was going on there. Why would I know that? I've gone to an area and been like, hey, has there been a school shooting around here? Because I've done that too, where you don't realize it. And I would never think to look up if there's a pedophile in this community. That was a first.
Did you feel any pressure to like? You're good friends with Louis C.K., right? Did you feel any pressure to like make a statement about his scandal?
I can only go by my experience as friends with Louis. No one's honestly ever asked me anything about it, and I would only be able to base it off of our friendship and how he's treated me. I think it would be weird to ask me to make a statement about somebody else.
Well, there's often like a desire to get people to condemn someone or disavow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
But that didn't happen to you.
No. I mean, it's the same thing like with political parties. Like I don't hate either party. I think there's good and bad to both, but I do think they're all full of shit.
Do we have that Hamas clip?
We do. Let's go to the Hamas. Let's go to the Hamas joke.
Oh boy.
Hamas has to kill all of the Jews. They are really limiting it to Israel. Right? Like if they wanted all of the Jews dead, wouldn't they do it globally? It's just local. Well, which lets you know it's not really about the Jews. It's about whoever is occupying that space. If Asian people live there, they would hate the Asians, Like, look at me. I've lived in the Bronx my entire life, so I hate Puerto Ricans. And what I am proposing is a little exchange program where we send the Puerto Ricans to Israel and send the Jews to the Bronx. And then you watch how quickly the Palestinians will be begging for the Jews back. Like, oh my God. Like, these people never sleep. Just always playing music. Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. We should try it.
What I found, not to, I know you're not supposed to like, this is the worst thing to analyze jokes, obviously, but sure. I did think it was interesting because like you make a point in there that is a very, I think, important point. And it probably was not like your intention. I'm sure it was in the service of the joke, but maybe not. But, people are very offended by the correct claim that Hamas is not motivated by a desire to kill Jews, but a desire to kill the people occupying them. Mm-hmm. So did you get any like Zionist pushback?
Oh, listen, I think that like I've had I think only one person wrote to me and was upset by it. To me anyway, but like, yeah, I think if they're like, well, it's also based on religion, I'm like, but I don't think they would care what their religion is if they were in another place and not by them.
Right.
So yeah, that was mostly the point.
Yeah.
like whoever you live by is kind of who you end up not. And also, for the record, I date only Hispanic guys, so it's like it is a joke. Yeah, I don't know how you fix that situation, but like this isn't a bad option. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to move there to date all my Hispanic boyfriends.
But it is interesting how, like, I think, humor lets you say certain things that non-humor doesn't. And I feel like if you had
Sure.
said something seriously, even though you were making a serious point, like if you had said that, Hamas doesn't want to kill Jews because they're Jewish. Or Hamas isn't fighting against Jews because they're Jewish. They're fighting against them because they're occupiers, which Hamas themselves has said.
Yeah, proximity.
Yeah. Yeah, proximity, occupation, whatever. But
sure, yeah.
It's interesting how you were able to say that. And I think if you had said that, like, without the humor, there could have been a very big attempt to cancel you and call you an anti-Semite.
Sure, but I mean, that would be hilarious. Like, my grandmother's Jewish.
Oh, yeah. You're a pizza bagel?
It's weird. I wasn't raised Jewish, but I guess technically I am because my mother's mother was.
Right.
I guess I'm Catholic, but I don't follow any. I think religion's like garbage. I think it's fake. I mean, it's not fake, it exists, but I just think it's like, I don't know. I don't follow any of that stuff. Yeah. Also, to follow only certain like tenets of religion is crazy to me. Like,
right.
You're like, well, I'm going to have premarital sex, but I also, you only follow some of it. And it's like, okay.
Pretty hypocritical. I mean, I think it's okay if you only follow some of it. Like, that's up to you. But if you only follow some of it and then you condemn other people.
Sure, or if
that's
you
where it's hypocritical,
I think. That's fine, but then don't like point your finger at other people who are doing parts of it also.
Exactly, yeah.
Like some people, like, I remember, like, my mom, wouldn't eat, I guess, meat on Fridays during Lent or whatever, but, like, then she was doing stuff that was, like, not Catholic.
Right.
So
was your mom's dad Catholic, or did she convert, or?
My mom's mom was Jewish and her dad was Catholic. My mom wasn't really raised anything. And then she married my dad, I guess, and became Catholic.
Interesting.
But what's funny is my grandmother used to wear the Jewish symbol for the chai around her neck, but I just thought it was the math symbol for pi. Like, as a kid, I was like, Grandma really likes math.
That's so funny.
No one really taught us about religion either growing up. Like, we went to Catholic school, but, like, I didn't really even understand my grandmother was Jewish because no one really talked about it.
That's interesting. So when did you get that she was?
I think after she had died. Like, I mean, or I guess she died, I was like 12 or something. But yeah, no one really talked about it. Like, she gave us Christmas gifts, and I don't think she was very Jewish.
Right. Speaking of, I mean, I'm not religious, but I identify as Jewish. But same thing with my parents and even my grandparents. But it's funny about the chai thing because I have a friend whose mom was like, "What's up with this chai tea everyone's drinking?" Like chai. It was chai lattes.
Yeah.
That was chai. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I wish that she had lived a lot longer so I could have like talked to her about the way she thought she was persecuted. Because my mom will tell me stories about stuff, like from her growing up and how my grandmother felt like that, I guess, in the house. But my mom said too, like, because people would always say Jews are usually rich, and she's like, not when you marry poor Italians.
Where are your parents from?
The Bronx.
And are they political? Like, did you grow up with parents who had political ideas or ideology?
Not really. My dad was a gambler. That was his politics.
Nice.
The OTB. Whatever happened at the OTB was his politics. That's what he worshipped.
The track.
Yeah. Not DNC, not GOP, but OTB.
OTB, yeah. It was terrible as a child to go there, too, because all they did was smoke, so you just came home smelling like a bar. You're like 8. So gross. But yeah, my dad was a big gambler. He wasn't very political. I would assume he would have probably voted for Trump, though. I feel like a lot of Italians do align with Trump.
That, I mean, was his gambling, did it have a big impact on your childhood? Like, was it like, was it happening for a while?
I mean, my dad was a gambler my whole life. He died when I was like 22. And yeah, I mean, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. Hey, listen, he was also a mailman, so you're not making a ton of money as a mailman, you know? So like, you can't do both of those things. I think that joke is in my special. Like, you can't be a gambler and also a mailman. Like, there's two things you can't do together. But I think the way that he interacted, you know, a lot of gamblers are like emotionally like vacant, you know what I mean? So like, I think growing up like that shaped who I am too, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just not having a parent that was there emotionally. So but my mom's also a maniac. So
gambling in this country is, I don't think it's like anywhere else on earth. It's so out of control here, and it's such a big thing, and it's everywhere, and it's so, it ruins a lot of people's lives. I mean,
Yeah.
I forgot the comedian who has a joke. Maybe it's Dan Soder who has a joke that if like gambling ads were accurate, you would show like, the father coming home and telling like the whole family like all the savings are lost. Instead, it's
Right.
like people having a wonderful time, but if they had honest gambling ads, it'd be a lot different.
Yeah, and it's usually, I mean, the saddest is when you're poor in gambling, and I guess maybe you're thinking like, oh, this one big win will turn my life around.
Yeah.
But I have a friend that gambled. He had like a stock that he sold and was going to rebuy, and then it blew up, and he keeps chasing like these millions of dollars he would have had.
Oof.
So yeah, it does ruin your life.
Yeah.
And your mom's a comedian too, right?
She does comedy, yeah. I mean, she's not like doing it like I am, but she started comedy when I was like maybe 18, and then she would like start and quit and start and quit, and then she started doing it again when she saw me like getting some stuff.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
awesome.
Started doing it again. But yeah, she's like proud of me, I guess.
When did you start doing stand up?
I was 26.
Oh, okay.
So I've been doing it for 20 years.
Wow. You and your mom ever consider like doing a tour together?
She would love that. I would not love that.
Yeah.
My mom is a difficult person also. She's like very narcissistic. She wants to be treated like a princess. I remember
by a gambler mailman, that must be hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, she just thinks she's like a princess.
Right.
It's so crazy to think that like when you grew up kind of poor, to like just that level of like wanting to be treated amazing. And I remember like I was going with her for her divorce, and I worked for this divorce attorney, and I'd asked him if he would see my mom. And I took her there. I picked her up. I drove her to Tarrytown, which is like 40 minutes from the Bronx. And then like the end of the day, she was like, she goes, why am I opening all of the doors? I was like, what? You're just getting there before me. Like, it was such a crazy thing to say after I killed my whole day doing something for her. I'm like, just walk slower.
Right.
But like, that's who my mom is. Well, you're also Hungarian. I meet like 3 Hungarians.
I'm also Hungarian. Yes. My father's Hungarian.
Yeah,
I think that's, I don't know.
That's dark. That's dark.
There's something very dark about Hungarian culture,
yeah.
Louis is also Hungarian.
Louis, I know.
Hungarian Jewish or just Hungarian?
You know?
I think it's Jewish. Like one of his, I think his grandfather or great fled to Mexico from Hungary.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But Hungarian's very dry humor, very dark, and I think that's probably what drives, why I'm such a fan of yours, Adrienne. It's like, you really are, like, your humor is very dry and very dark, and I just even
a very deadpan.
Yeah, very deadpan, and you go. It's like you're not moralistic at all.
Yeah,
which I think is great because there's a real temptation to do that now in comedies, to like be on like a certain side, and you're going after everybody. It's really much on display in your special, The Dark Queen.
This is hilarious. You could see my whole kitchen. That's why I think I had it set up the other way.
Oh, no, it's good.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks good.
It's a nice home. Yeah. Homegrown.
You've done the dishes. Everything is.
I did do the dishes. Yes.
Yes.
You really see my whole kitchen.
And do you still live in the Bronx, by the way?
This is the Bronx.
So you stayed.
I stayed in the Bronx. It's just so close to Manhattan.
Yeah, and so much cheaper.
I guess. I like that I drive, so I don't have any like alternate street parking. So that is my motivation to be here.
Nice.
It's pretty easy to park. My life revolves around parking.
Right. And do you like the life, like the comedian lifestyle, being on the road a lot? Do you like that?
Yes and no. Like, there's parts of it I do like, and then there's parts where it's just overwhelming sometimes, where you're like, I just want to be in one place for a bit. I was talking, there was another comic that I was talking to. He's talking about like just waking up and not knowing where you're at, and like that'll happen too, where like I wanted at one point just to leave a note by my bed to be like, this is the day, you don't have to get on a plane. Like, I always think I'm waking up late for something, or I'm missing a flight.
Ooh, yeah.
Tom Papa, right? I think he said that like one time he woke up, he didn't know where he was, and he was like on a plane. Yeah. So you're just like you're just like, every time I wake up, I'm like, what time is it? Am I late? Like, you're traveling so much, you're almost never in one place for too long, and you're just like, I don't know, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, what day is it? Where do I have to be? Like, when I was doing that 6-week tour with Louis, that was like every 2 days we were moving, and that was kind of like, am I late? I always wake up and I'm like, am I late?
And who are some of your favorite comedians? Gotta ask.
I mean, I love Louis. I love Chappelle, Bill Burr. Bonnie McFarlane's great. Wanda Sykes. I mean, then there's other comics too that I like that aren't like famous, you know. Sarah Talamash is great. All my friends are great. Go check them out. Carmen Lynch, Liz Mealy. They have great specials.
Nice.
They're on YouTube. Go check them out.
So much pressure on comedians now because they're like the last truth tellers left, you know? And so like it's comedy is that much more important now because as everyone becomes like divided by politics and, you know, other things, it's like the one place where they're still where people can still say honestly what they think and also can bring people from different sides of the aisle together. It's comedy. So it just takes on that much more importance now.
Yeah. I mean, also Ari Shaffir, who I love, I think he's amazing. I'm sure you watched his special Jew on YouTube.
I didn't see it, but I know he grew up as an Orthodox Jewish person. And so it's about, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's great. He's also another person that's like just saying kind of what he wants to say, regardless of the consequences. Yeah, I think that's an amazing special. I was on the road with him watching him build that hour. So it's cool to see the finished product. And he produced the special. He has a real great eye for like, he's so meticulous with stuff. Like he really cares about comedy. And so does Louis. I feel very fortunate that both of them helped me with this, especially for my first special.
The special is called The Dark Queen. It's on Netflix. Adrienne Iapalucci, anything you want to leave us with? Any tour dates you want to plug?
Just go check out my website, adrienneiapallucci.com. There's some upcoming dates. Go buy a t-shirt, watch the special, share it with your friends. Try and have fun. We do comedy to make you laugh. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being with us. And again, The Dark Queen on Netflix
Very
now.
funny.
Thanks so much for listening to and watching Useful Idiots. For extended episodes, bonus content, and our weekly Thursday Throwdown episode, please subscribe at usefulidiots.podcast.com. Support the show for free by subscribing on YouTube, Rumble, and wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like the podcast, don't forget to rate and review. You can also follow us on Twitter at UsefulIdiotPod. Thanks for supporting independent media. We'll see you next time.